Hello. Just me monkeying around. Wanted to talk today about something that is sort of glazed over in regards to people searching for a better lifestyle. And that is that, you'll often hear the words and you'll read them in the newspaper and see them on television, the standard of living. Now, a lot of people get confused with what that actually means. It's all mumbo jumbo. In effect, what it means is the economic wealth of either the state, the country, the county, or the individual. It means that a standard of living in, say, southwestern Africa is X, and the standard living in, say, Pennsylvania is Y. What's that relative to? Well, neither of those two countries are comparable, but the standard of living is simply a basis of economic wealth, or things, or stuff. Anyway, my point is, what is your standard of living? What is your expectations? Is it one of those things that you simply follow the media and say, well, I haven't got a new iPhone 6S, I haven't got a brand new car? A lot of people, not only in America but in Australia and throughout the Western world, look at the standard of living as comparable on one fact alone, and that is stuff. New cars, like a young couple getting their first home, big mortgage, getting a couple of cars, going on holiday, getting a couple of credit cards. They would believe at the beginning of all that their standard of living is unbelievable. Well, the spectre of debt very shortly raises its head, and those two fine young couple have just got married with their new house, their two cars, their holidays, and their credit cards. Sit down most nights arguing about which bill to pay, what to sell at a loss. So the standard of living is a bit of a misconception. That's all to do with stuff. The true standard of living, I really believe, is your well-being in yourself. How do you feel? Is life each day you wake up good, look forward to it, and not one of those things that you get up thinking, how the hell am I going to pay all these bills? Well, don't feel guilty if you're one of those people with credit cards, debt for a big mortgage, a couple of cars. Don't feel guilty because you've been trained to do it this way. Yes, you have. The lure of cheap money, the mystery of a credit card, which is sort of money that doesn't exist for young people. I'll just use this. This is free money. No, it's not. A true basis for a standard of living is your well-being in your mind and your soul, if you like. What it means is that you wake up each day and, there are buckets of shit even in the life of those people that have good well-being. That's just life. But there's a lot less bucket of shits for those people because they're contented. I worry about people that believe that they've got to be part of this system where they've got to be into debt all the time. Debt is a killer. It's a killer of, let's be honest, marriages. Divorce rates are high amongst those that are heading towards bankruptcy or massive debt. All they do is argue. So what can you do about it? Well, you need to sit down and you need to write down all the things that you're going to be liable for, all your debts and this and that. Is it okay to buy a second-hand car for, say, $4,000 or $5,000, or even cheaper, instead of having a brand new car every few years, just never getting away from the debt of, say, $500 or $600 a month paying for a car? The secret is not to have debt if you can. The secret is to realize that life is not just about stuff. There are a lot of greedy people who think that they've got to keep, getting stuff all the time. It's what's on the telly and it's being advertised, so I must have it. You're one of the trained ones. You're being taught to be a debt slave. You're not going to be told this by many people, but the bottom line is you are your own worst enemy. Even though subliminally you're being trained to spend money you don't have, the arguments you have with your spouse or your friends or your family, and they're continuing, can you help me pay this month's on the car, Dad? Or Mum, I need help pay the rent this month. It's one of those things, you are living beyond your means, but society also charges an enormous amount of money for shit. I mean, living in, say, a one-bedroom apartment paying $600 or $700 a month, that's robbery. It's a box with a kitchen, a toilet and a bed. That's what some people pay. What is the answer? Well, you need to find your own answers, but to be self-reliant before you become self-sufficient. Let's say you're going to have this dream of getting some land, building a cabin, either catching your own rainwater off the roof or having a spring or a well. They're all dreams until you actually get to the point. Now, if some dickhead can tell you that, oh, you can go off grid for a few $1,000s, they're a dickhead. That's not possible, not even in some of the cheapest places on this planet. You have to be practical. What does that mean? Well, you've got to search the area that you'd like to live. And if you've got children, you need to consider their needs in regards to schooling. Can you homeschool? Well, if you do, there's a lot of work involved with actually doing homeschooling, so you need to consider that. Time is a factor. One thing that you'll find, and a good friend of mine, Herbs to Place One, is working his ass off at the moment. All of them are on the property, getting to where they need to get to. You'll be seeing some great videos coming out of Herbs to Place One real soon, so be patient. But he realised before he even got to his land that the undertaking was massive. It wasn't going off grid for a few thousand. He paid a lot of money for his land. He's got a couple of cabins which he's paid a lot of money for. He's basically debt free on most of the things that he has, so he's on that standard of living process where if you go back a year in Herbs to Place One's life, massive mortgage, cars, all the trimmings that come with being part of the system. So what's he doing? Well, he's creating his own standard of living, and at the moment it's a tough road, but what it means is that he's on the road. He's doing something about it. And there are so many people who would love to do something like that. And I encourage you, please watch Herbs to Place One. And also there's a friend of mine in Canada, Kirk and Amanda, who are doing the same thing. If you ask them the honest question, is it easy? The answer, without hesitation, would be no. It's not easy. It's doable, but you need to have a lot of forethought. How much will this cost? How much will that cost? To give you an idea, I think Kirk's well, his water well, was around 6,000. I could be wrong, but it was about that figure. So if some dickhead's telling you can go off grid for a few $1,000s, tell them to get fucked, because that's not true. There's a lot of things involved with being self-reliant. You don't have a power company if you're running your own solar system. You're the power company. You need to learn and understand. If you don't know, ask questions, find people that are knowledgeable. So don't think that for one moment you can be living in the city or near the suburbs and then just jump straight into a tree-lined 4 or 5 acre property, have a few pigs, chickens, and it doesn't work that way. You need to understand, you need the skill sets. Kirk's a great example at the moment. He's just found some good people on an organic farm where he's done a little bit of work picking potatoes, but they do a lot of things. They grow their own cattle, pigs, eggs, chickens. Now, they didn't do that overnight at all. It would be great if they could start a channel, but they're probably so busy just doing what it's needed to be done just to live. So all I can say to you is that, the words "a standard of living" is a misconception. When the elite and the bankers say, take money, take a credit card, buy a fucking great big house, and we'll squeeze the life out of your disposable income each month, that you will sit around arguing with your wife or friends or family because you can't afford to pay for it. All I'm trying to do is encourage people to reflect on what their life is now. Where's my money going? Write it down, work out. And I gave the analogy a while ago, get a blank piece of paper and draw a line down the middle and write down on the left-hand side what everyone else provides for you: food, clothing, everything you can think of, everything that you pay for. And on the right-hand side of the paper, write down what you can do for yourself or do for yourself. You'll find this right-hand side of the paper is nearly blank. because you've been well trained. The standard of living is a bit like a debt loop. You know, Mr. Jones next door got a 70-inch telly. I want to get an 80-inch telly. See how you're trained? A neighbour down the road got a new V8 supercharged truck. I want to get a bigger one. You've got to get through the mentality of I want and go down the mentality of what do I need? Get the needs organised first. Would I encourage people to go off-grid? Well, I don't even like the words off-grid. I call self-sufficiency, self-reliance. Have a good think about it. Don't dream. Don't just, toss the dice and think that should work. Get some knowledge behind you. Will you be a great gardener in your first year? No. You'll probably be bloody hopeless. But if you listen to enough people and you learn some of the basics and become an expert in growing the foods you normally eat, life becomes a lot easier. Can you completely be self-reliant? Not really. I like chocolate. I haven't been able to grow a chocolate tree. If the world turned to shit, the basics of being self-reliant to the extent that you do grow a lot of your own food, you have animals, you have eggs, chickens, maybe some pigs, maybe some sheep. What does that really mean? Well, you're in a better position than most people who haven't got a bloody clue. You're also saving an enormous amount of money. So when it comes down to the words, what's your standard of living? Put some comments down below and tell me what you think it is and what you want to aim for. Because together we can be very strong. Lots of us have different knowledge in different areas. Now what that means is that you have an opportunity to share knowledge. I'm happy to share any knowledge you would like, and many other people will do the same. The road to redemption in regards to having a better standard of living is not in the government's hand. It's not in anyone else's hands but your own. Take the time to reflect, sit, write, work out where you are now, and work out where the hell you want to go. If you just want to stay in the city and turn on your 70-inch telly, good luck to you. I have no problem with that. That's your life. Anyway, if you have been, thank you for watching. Listen to the monkey. He knows what he's talking about.